Hello there. Hey, brother sewing and crafting family. And hi, May.
Hi.
I'm Angela Wolf. This is May Flaum, and we are here today with a really fun crafting project. But not only that, well, I am saving my project for tomorrow because it takes a while. I did a zippered lip bag last week. Say that fast 10 times, May. And tomorrow I'm going to embroider it. But today I saw your project, and it's super, super cute.
Well, thank you. Yeah, we're going to be playing with, so I started creating I found some little containers that you can clip on to, like I have a shelf that has like a lip to it that you can clip it onto. And then I also have like those rolling carts that are so popular that you can clip these onto the various sides of the rolling cart.
Yeah,
So that
I
you
never
can,
thought about that. That's a great idea.
So you can put stuff on that. And then I thought, you know what, though, that's so boring. It's so boring. It's just, completely boring. So I started playing around and I came up with, so this is the first one that I've got there, all glitter.
Oh, that's cute.
So I started playing with that and I actually, there will be a video coming. So you guys are getting the first peek at this. There will be a video coming of this. I think it's next week. My channel, so I'm going to have a video of this specific one, but it gave me the idea that it was so much fun that it would be fun to make different themed custom things using my scan and cut to make it easy so I don't have to hand cut all of that, but to create all of that and customize little containers for all over. So instead of being just boring, it'll say what it is, so that'll help me, because I'll remember, I'll see all the sparkles and the rhinestones and go, oh yeah, the glitter's over there. But it'll also brighten things up so it's not quite so drab, not quite so boring, which I think will be a lot of fun. So today I'm going to show you drawing your own, but also incorporating the scan and cut, of course, as well. I think drawing your own designs for the scan and cut gets overlooked a lot of the times.
It's funny you say that because we were just talking about this with the project I did last week with this zippered bag, which actually is at my house. May, I'm just happy to be here with you today because I'm watching everybody roll it in, say where they're from, and I can see a lot of sunny places, but we have been getting snow for, well, literally 48 hours, but just think of winter wonderland. So I could not wait to see when I saw what you were doing, the glitter. That's actually what our snow looks like, believe it or not. It has little sparkles. I woke up this morning and thought I woke up in the North Pole or something. I mean, it's pretty as long as it melts quickly, but the zippered bag is sitting on my at home. But drawing that and scanning it in to the Luminaire is what I'm going to be doing. You're going to be scanning in the scan and cut, which is two different avenues for this, which I'm just thinking of other opportunities here, like cutting out cork and making bags and things like that. So I cannot wait to see how you do this. And I think it'll be
there's so many different ways that you can go about this. No doubt.
Yeah. So are you ready? Everybody ready? I see everybody rolling in. I saw a couple new people here too. So welcome to the Brothers Sewing and Crafting Show. And we are live on Facebook and YouTube, and you can ask your questions. I will be watching them. Both May and I will answer them at the end. And so if you ask and I don't interrupt May, that's because I'm waiting for a second. Okay? All right.
So what we're going to start with, is just drawing something. Now I started to write the word glue here, and what I do is I take a thin pen first and I draw, whatever it is that I want to draw. Maybe it's a squiggle, maybe it's a shape, maybe it's a word, and I start thin. Now I've added a little bit underneath the word glue, and then I come in with a pen, and it doesn't have to be anything in particular. I tend to use black pens just for the contrast. Black pen on white paper is the most contrast I can get, and the best way that I can use what my scan and cut's going to do and show it the image the most clear. So I'm just adding, and we'll move over so you'll see more of this in a moment, but we're adding additional lines. And thickening things up. Now, the one thing that I'm going to tell you is when you're doing this, I like to add a little at a time. So I'll add a little bit of this to my line, and then I'll take a look at it and add a little more. I tend to do them when I'm hand drawing something like this, however I think it looks, I usually will want to thicken it a little more. And the reason is, once you cut this out, your Scan and Cut is going to cut it out very precisely. So it's actually going to be thinner. I don't know how to explain this exactly, but it always ends up being just a little thinner than I think it is, which it's not a problem, but it does mean that, for example, when I go to cut this out, these big letters here, they're not that big when we actually cut them out. And especially in this case, let's see here. In this case, I'm gonna have to shrink them down a little. They're a little large.
Oh,
so
yeah.
in this case, because we're gonna have to shrink them down, that means they're gonna get a little smaller. So before we go to the Scan and Cut, I'll just add. The thing that I like about this method of lettering is that you don't have to be good at lettering or drawing, for that matter, whatever it is that you're drawing, because you are just adding on to the line. So if you didn't do it, normally when you see people do lettering and it's so beautiful, well, you're not trying to do it in one swoop. You're starting with kind of a thin framework and then adding on. So if you're not very good at it, it's okay, because you have as much room as you want to edit and add and change.
So May, when you're writing those letters, just a quick question, do you have to take care to make sure that they're a little bit further apart to make sure that they're really distinct letters? Like, don't actually put them all together?
Not necessarily. So like we can see with the glitter how that's how I drew it.
Yeah.
There's very little, so you don't have to. And it will pick up, and we'll test a smaller one too. It will pick up pretty small, pretty detailed designs. This should do us though. So we're going to go ahead and head on over to the Scan and Cut and scan this in, and I'll show you how you are going to turn this into a.
Let's see if I can. Here we go. There you go.
We're going to go to Scan. And we're going to click Scan to Cut Data. The difference is when people ask, the direct cut means I have something on the mat that I want to cut out this item. The Scan to Cut Data means I'm trying to create a cut file. And it's on grayscale, which is fine because this is black on white. And it's telling me that my scanner is up. That's okay. I leave my scanner up. That's just a matter of the height.
It's so quiet.
It really is.
I just saw somebody ask, let me bring this back over here. I just saw somebody say they want closed captioning. No worries, because on the replay, there is closed captioning. So just so you know, if your volume isn't high enough or something, it'll be on the replay.
Okay, so once it goes through, you can see why black on white works really well, because it gives you a very clear design. And then you have your different options. So this option would be just the outlines. It's actually fine for our example here, because okay, so you can see here, if we were doing this one, we'd want the insides of these letters to cut out. But with glue, we don't have any insides of letters. They're all separate and they're all outside. So all we need to tell it is just the outline of the letters, please. And then we bring the arrows in. It does two different things. Number one, there's some lines, like for example, there's a bit of a shadow underneath the edge of the paper that's trying to pick up its line. You are just removing all of that area so that it cannot see that. But also, this is going to make it easier to work with when we move it in to cut with it. Okay, and if we're happy with everything, we say okay. If anything was not okay, if we needed to adjust, ignore object size. Like say there were some little dots that got picked up in here and we didn't mean to do that, we can ignore those, but it's good to go. I think the fun thing about this, and then it's asking me where I'd like to save it, and I'll save it to the machine. The fun thing about this too is we don't have to, in the example I gave here, these are cut files from the Scan and Cut. If you can mix and match, you're not limited to, if I drew this, I have to draw this and then that's it and I can do nothing else. Okay, so now it's stored. So now we push the home button to get back home and go into retrieve data. And it's always going to be, if you're working within it, it's always going to be the very last thing that you made. That's always easy to remember. Okay. And then we'll go into edit because each one of these is a separate file. So if we didn't like something, like for example, let's say I wanted the L bigger or the U smaller, we could click that particular one and we could go in and edit it by itself. But if we really just want to edit everybody, for example, we want to resize everything, but we want everything to keep the same proportions, click this button that will select everyone. And then when we go into object edit, if we click the unify button, what that tells the machine is please treat all of these cut files like they're all together, like they're a group. And then if I resize, which I'm going to need to do, we'll resize everybody together. So they'll keep their proportions, they won't come undone. So we've got that. And then I did stars last time. I think I'll pick another, let's see. We'll do that and then we'll add. So we can go into add and add pattern and we can add whatever other items we'd like. I was thinking we'd go in here. As long as we're creating, go in here and I'm going to select the create. So this is just a really fun, I'm going to make it be about 3.5 inches high. Yeah, that should work. Although it might be a little smaller only because of the width. We don't want it to be too wide. Okay. Okay, so now I've got that. So that's for something separate. So we have 2 separate things we can do here. And then we can go in and add different things like, for example, in patterns, have all of our basic shapes. So if we wanted to do, like, say, an oval shape around it and cut around it, we certainly could. We could add any of the shapes that we'd like. I was looking for, let's see, where to go.
May, you make this one look so easy, and I love that each of the little steps, because I'm even getting refreshers. I use my machine quite often, but I see a lot of people in here. There's a few new ladies that say that they just got the machine, they don't know how to use it. And yes, you can go back and watch these videos over and over, but it's such a great tutorial. So thanks.
You know what? And the thing about this is, so I put 10 of these little starburst guys in here. And I'll just put them around. So I can design like what I'm doing here, where I'm putting different things around and making different things be in a certain pattern that I think would look really nice. Or I can have them just off to the side if I want to decide later. If I put them off to the side, then it's not really a part of the pattern. And then I can really have a lot of freedom to play with it later. So to me, that just depends on what do you have going, and like I'm not really sure how this is going to look when we get it put on there. So I'd rather have this and set it aside and look at it a little later and decide that. So that's something to remember, that if you want to combine different patterns but you're not sure exactly how, or like this, I'm not exactly sure how many of these I'm going to want, don't be afraid to cut them out, but cut them, separately and decide once you have it, because sometimes it's really easy to sort out your pattern while you're here on the screen, and sometimes it makes a lot more sense to do so when you're actually doing a project. And I want to add one more thing. I want to add some little hearts in here. So let's get our little hearts. Okay, and then we've got all of that. Now we're ready to load the mat up. So for the mat, I'm going to just move this to the side for a minute here. So for the mat, I'm just tilting that to show myself what we're working with. We can do any colors that you would like. I've got a bunch of different scraps of vinyl here that I thought would be fun to play with. I'm thinking, and then what you can do as well is, like, for example, I don't have to use the full sheets. I can use partial sheets and then figure out based on how that goes, how many sheets or how many spots I need, or what works well or what doesn't work well is sometimes important too. And this is just a little big, so I am going to trim just a little bit off of there. I will go here. And the great thing about this is I always keep all of my little scraps. I always keep all of my little bits and pieces because we can keep utilizing these. We can keep making new things with our scan and cuts and using the small bits and pieces. We don't have to waste them or throw them away. So it's always fun when I can do that.
Those are cute colors.
Yeah, nice and bright. I'm feeling very spring, you know, very bright and fun colors.
We need some of that going on.
I like cooler weather, but I like the spring colors.
What mat are you using?
Just a standard mat.
Awesome.
A low tack mat would work as well. It doesn't really matter. As long as I always say, as long as it depends on how new is your mat, you know, how heavy is your material, all of those kinds of things. I'm using craft vinyl or sticker vinyl. So basically it's vinyl sticker is what we're making. We're making vinyl stickers. So once I have this on, this middle button right here, what that does is scans the mat. It's not doing anything as far as like before we were scanning and creating a file. Now we're scanning and it's just going to show us on the screen what's in here. There we go. You can see where everybody's at, so you can move things around. And if you want to, like if I want to pull some things to be on the one color, this is how I'll do it, is by putting things on the different colors and move them around. And so I'm not designing this as far as, you know, how I want it to look. I'm really just getting things going here for colors and spaces. And this really, you do have to do it manually because you're showing it which colors and which bits and where you want things to be. So you do have to do that manually. You can't utilize like autofill. Set this up for me. It won't be able to do that for you. You'll just need to sort this out. And it's, you know what, it really only takes a minute. And it's really just a matter of finding some little things that you like and then moving them around. Now I am going to go in here and go to edit. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. And I'm also going to make more of them. So we don't always have to go all the way back out into the pattern selection. We can, a lot of the times like I am here, just reselect. Okay. There we go. Okay. Once I'm happy with everything, I'm just going to go through and just keep clicking OK. When you're done and you're ready to cut or draw or whatever you're trying to do, you just keep clicking OK until you get to select. And then we are going to want to make sure half cut is on. Scan and Cut DX has an auto blade. And what that means to us is that the blade is going to test the material depth and then cut accordingly. By telling it half cut, we're telling it we're cutting a material where there's a backing sheet and I don't want you to cut the backing sheet. And then off it goes.
I love that. The auto blade, I call it the magic auto blade because I love it ever since that has come out. Somebody asked what you're using. The SDX 225 is what she's using. That's what you're using, isn't it? I think so, yeah. There was just a handful of questions. Does the scan and cut sync with the Luminaire 1 and 2? Yes, it does. So you can actually take files from the Luminaire, put it into the scan and cut to cut your appliques. You can also do that on some of the other machines too. So it's a very handy dandy feature. It's so quiet, May.
It really is. And it's just going to do its, it just does its job. I usually just keep an eye when it first starts to make sure that I have everything down correctly and that everything looks like it's going smoothly. But it'll just, there's plenty of times when, I go take off and, go get a new glass of water or go start another project or something, especially if it's going to be if I have a really intricate cut that's going to take a longer time.
Yeah. I have been using the drawing feature quite a bit. And it's funny, you said some people can't sketch so well, but your handwriting there looked like it just came out of a machine. Mine
It
not so
did,
much.
except the thing about it is that by doing it the way I do it, where I just keep adding to it, you know, if your hand was shaky or something's not even or something's not quite right, by just continuing to add to it instead of trying to get to the original, to the full thickness right from the start, it's just a lot easier to get an effect that you're happy with.
That's such a great tip.
It's so much easier for me than trying to start, you know, yeah, all the way at the full thickness, and I've messed up, so now I have to start over. That's not nearly as fun. Oh, and it's looking good. It's always fun to look over and see, and that's the other thing I'll look at, especially on the vinyl, is I do want to see designs sliced into the vinyl. If I can't see if I look over and I don't see my designs, then something's not right. It's not cutting. I need to go and look at, you know, what have I done? Did I forget to put a blade in? You know, what's going on here that this is not cutting properly. Auto blade, yeah, I think auto blade is one of my favorite parts as well. The new vinyl blade, the elusive vinyl blade. Yeah. I haven't found it either, so if that helps.
I actually haven't, but that's because I did one of the videos for when it first came out. I was working on another project, so I feel very lucky, and I have to tell you, it's worth every bit of it. It cut. I did that elephant project that came with it. It was cut out of vinyl. The pieces were so itty bitty tiny. I thought, there's no way this is going to cut right. Not that I'm a negative person, but it was gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. So keep looking.
I think that's a fun one. There we go.
All right, let's take a look.
Okay, let's move this out of our way here. So, get everybody off the mat now. Everybody off the mat, and then I am just cutting this apart if there is, like this one and this one, we have our word and we have our little embellishments. So I just cut them apart to make that easier. So we'll start here. I have you see how well loved and used this thing is. This little pick tool is great because it helps me pierce the vinyl, lift the vinyl, and it also will help, like when I get into the curves, I can, instead of trying to get my finger in there, I can use it to lift and extract the pieces that we don't want to have stay around. And it looks like, okay, so I started to lift here and it stuck. If this happens where you're doing your vinyl and it's lifting, the pattern is lifting off as you go and you didn't mean to do that, don't worry about it. Just what I'll do in this case, because I have so much already weeded, is I will trim off a bit just because that lets me get rid of that and free up my hands a little better. You're just going to lay it back down. That's why I trimmed. As you can see, by laying it back down, it made it easier for me to get in here and figure out, okay, wait, where did I go wrong? Where did it lift? And this is also why you want to work nice and slow, because you don't ever want to tear your vinyl. By working slowly, you can make sure that everything is lifting off.
I have to say, that made me feel so much better, but I never thought of just cutting it to get rid of it. I made a huge hot mess on one of the projects I was working on, and I just started pulling everything away, and it looked kind of like that, and I ended up having to throw the whole thing in the trash. You made it so easy. You just cut it.
You know what? If you just cut, a lot of times just cut it really is the answer.
Oh, gosh, I've never thought about that.
This one, and this is something I do, is if I lift and I'm looking at the vinyl and there's enough of a piece that I can see like little embellishments and things in the future, I will cut it off and put it back in my scrap bin because we can always use that. All right. this one's coming along nice and easy. Now, if it ever, like right here, as I was going in for, not in a bad way, this is vinyl that I don't want to use, but if it ever breaks across like that and it's an area that I already know, well, I didn't really want to use that. Anyhow, I let it, because I can come back in and pull that piece out. I'm not worried about that. I just go ahead and let it do its thing. And I also like to try, when I'm creating like this, I try to make a batch of things. So in other words, this glue and this create, these will go on different bins. These won't go on the same one. These will go on different ones. But because I'm using a color palette that works for both, and I've gone ahead and cut all my shapes out and done this work, it's just going to mean that when I go to do the second one later, it's going to be that much easier because I've already done the prep and already done the cutting. So I really do try to get batches of things going. And then this, because these are such easy shapes, I'm just lifting, and then when I see, somebody's kind of sticking there, I just lift. And again, that pick tool really helps make sure that everything is going off nicely. There we go. And I think with the stick, especially with the sticker style vinyl, a lot of times it's just a matter of the adhesive is the adhesive is connected, so it doesn't automatically just clear itself. It kind of sticks to itself a little bit.
I'm loving that pink.
I know, that nice bright pink. Okay. There we go. And you can see why it's nice to have that backing paper. Well, for a number of reasons, but also because then you've got all your stickers sitting there. I can use them now, or if I don't use them all, they're not wasted. They can just sit there on the backing material and wait until I'm ready with a project for them. And I just want to make sure that's all of it. Yep. Okay. So now we've got everything all cut and all weeded. You see how easy that is to do, really. And then we're going to design. So what I'm going to do for this, now we could individually take these letters and peel them off and put them on. The problem with that is, if we try to do that, a lot of times the vinyl, if it's going to bend, or maybe you get a kink in it or something like that, and it can be problematic because then, how are you going to peel it off? How are you going to get it to work? You can kind of ruin a project, to be honest. Now, when it's little tiny pieces, like, for example, the little hearts and things that are very simple and very small, a lot of times those, it's no problem whatsoever. So I do kind of say I look at what is the project, what am I doing here, and then base it off of that. This transfer material, what this does is, well, it's the problem solver. It's going to solve our problems here. So
Oh, somebody was just asking about that paper, so I knew it would be coming out.
yeah, so what this does, and the reason for it, is a couple of things. Number one, it's transferring the vinyl onto this transfer material. What that's going to do for us is holding all the stickers, so the sticker can't bend, like we saw when we were weeding, when we're removing the vinyl and we're seeing like it bends and that. This takes that completely out of the equation because it's on this backing material, so it's stuck, right? So it can't do any of the things that we wouldn't want it to do. It's stuck onto here, and I just kind of lift. I like to lift usually from the back side like this, and then if it doesn't transfer, you just press and press. So like this, if I set this down, it can't warp, it can't bend. I mean, that's just so nice for ease of use. And then I am going to center this right about here. Okay. And this is a rounded container, so you can see, you know, it's going around. I find that as long as I'm using a material or a container where there's a bend to it, as long as it's just in one direction, it's really easy. If you work, for example, on a ball where it's all the directions it's turning, it gets a little trickier. I'll just tell you, I just try to avoid that because I don't want things to be tricky. I want things to be easy.
That's so easy. Arnell's saying she's going to do her trash can. I can think of a ton of, this is such a great idea.
There's so many containers that you can do. And I think that this is going to be really, I think I'm going to really like this because it's going to be so pretty. And it's going to be fun too, just add all the colors. And that's why the bright colors for me, I like a lot of rainbow and bright, oops. Okay, so this didn't transfer off yet. All I need to do is just remain calm and just press this back down.
Remain calm. That's the key word, remain calm.
Do not get excited and start yanking your vinyl. That's always my advice. That's the number one way to get things in trouble is see, this one just keeps popping back up. So you can just press back down. So we have glue. And now what we can do is we can take other little elements. We want other parts on here and press those on.
Oh, I love that. Yes, you can use your transfer paper over and over. Somebody just asked that. Absolutely.
Yes, so that's why I set it aside on its backing because it's not done or anything. We can use it as many times as we want or need to.
Yeah, that was a great question, Sharon. Absolutely. I use mine until it has absolutely no stick left, which takes a while. Marcia wants to know, what type of vinyl are you using?
I'm assuming it's permanent because it doesn't say reusable. I think that most of the time if you have like removable, well, not reusable, but removable vinyl that you can peel on and off, I think most of the time it says that. So I'm assuming it's permanent. Let's put one of these. Here we go. So, ta-da! Got our glue container. And I'll always know where my glues are.
That looks so good. I love the colors on that.
Yeah, so then on this one, and again, there'll be, I think it's next week, the video will come out for this one. Same process, just different idea. And then this one, just after everything was done, I took a strong adhesive and glued rhinestones on there. So you can, that's another thing I always love is the scan and cut. You can do all your cutting and your vinyl or your paper, or whatever you've cut, and then you can go in and add dimension if you have other items that you wanted to add on here.
Absolutely. That is, by the way, on a side note, I did see we have a very unfriendly visitor and block has been happening. So I've been blocking the whole time. So just so you guys know, thank you for letting me know, and we've taken care of it. Somebody was really excited about your glue, May. Oh gosh, that's so funny. Okay, so I'm going to bring up somebody was asking about some more videos, and May has a ton of videos on her page.
I do.
And her website's right below there. And also I put up the Brother Scan and Cut blog, which has a ton of projects on there as well. And I put up my website too, because here are the lips. I posted this as a blog post, so you can take it and scan it in. You can scan this into the Scan and Cut. And you know what? When I trace this, May, now you're making me think that I had a little boo-boo here, and now I should just trace it a little bit thicker, and it'll be fine.
Yeah.
That was a great idea.
Yeah, and then the other thing to remember, for example, for that, if you're just doing the outline of it, remember that the inside part of the line isn't going to matter. It's only going to look at the very outside. So I always tell people that if they're concerned, if you're spending a lot of time on something where you're only going to do the outside or it's only going to be part of it, remember it will be forgiving because it's not actually going to be utilizing that part.
That's a great idea. Okay, so I see a few questions rolling in. Let's see. Oh, you're welcome, Stella. On doing lettering, can a vertical word be added? Oh, yeah. I mean, you could add it. It
Like
wouldn't
to
matter.
an image, because you can add, I mean, you can layer whatever you want to layer. It doesn't matter. Remember that the scan and cut doesn't understand or know if you're using words or shapes or anything like that. It just sees lines. So you can add whatever lettering or anything like that to different element, just the same way you would with anything else.
Yeah, and there are, I don't even know how many fonts are built into the scan and cut. There's a lot, but not only that, you have Canvas Workspace, which we showed last week. For those of you that are new, you'll have to definitely go back to the Brother YouTube page. YouTube, I find easy because I just put it on the TV, but you can go back and binge watch these episodes and just scroll ahead to whatever machines you want. But if you go back and look at all the ones where May was on here and then Jerry was on here last week, showing how to use, actually he made a Valentine X in Canvas Workspace, super easy, but there are a ton of fonts, a ton. So if you're not into writing your own, no worries.
You can also use the tool on the computer, I always forget if it's the text or the font. I think it's the text converter is what it's called, where you type in whatever word you want and it'll save it as a Brother cut file.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can utilize it in the scan and cut. Or you could also, like what I did was hand draw, you can also print out. If you would rather print out and then use that.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Scan it in. If it's not your handwriting, it doesn't have to be your handwriting to do what we did. You could use something that you had printed out off the computer if that's more comfortable for you as well.
That's a great idea. And you don't even have to have a tool like Illustrator, which is no affiliation to Brother, but I'm just using that as an example. Or, open a Word document and just make your text really big. I mean, that's another great idea. So that way you could get exactly what you want, print it off on a piece of paper like I did here, although I drew that, and scan that in. Kathleen, do you have, so what glue did you, not particular brand, but is there any particular kind of glue that you use to get your crystals to stay on there? It's not like you're throwing something in the dishwasher.
To be honest, what I do, you mentioned YouTube, I look for videos about because there are so many reviews. If you go and look for reviews of, if you type in rhinestones onto fabric glue review, you'll get a ton of things and you can find some different looks. And it's interesting to me because then I can see, a lot of times I get tips on people, how they work or what their process is, or if they have a cool tip or something that they do differently than me. Also, usually you'll find, okay, well, a lot of people seem to like this adhesive for this project type that I'm doing. So we're going to give that seems like a good bet. Or on the opposite, this one that claims it's this, but everybody says it's not, and it doesn't work. So I'll avoid that glue.
Mm-hmm. That is definitely true. Mary, you don't have to have any computer program for this. In fact, everything that she just did was not even on a computer at all. I mean, you don't have to have a computer. If you have a computer, then you can get onto Canvas Workspace and a few things like that. But I mean, that's it. You could use the scan and cut right out of the box, just like what she just did. That's it. Very easy.
It really is. It's really super easy. And
You're welcome,
most of the projects that I create, I actually intentionally don't utilize the computer just to show you how much we can get accomplished without ever even getting the computer involved, which is, for me, it's really exciting because I associate my computer with, okay, I have to do typing or reports or, something serious. So for me, it's really fun. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Canvas Workspace and I love going in there and playing. But overall, it's just so fun for me that I can just pull out the machine and get creating and doing so much without ever having to consider the computer.
I'm just going to bring this up. I think I have it right here. Let me just make sure I bring up the right thing. I could bring up my emails. You guys could answer all that for me, but I'll bring up the Canvas Workspace. Let's see. It's always in a weird spot. Okay, there. This is the project we were working on last week with Jerry. So this is Canvas Workspace. Now, you do not have to use this, though, to get into the machine. This is just extra free things, Free, capital letters. 'Cause everyone's like, do I got to pay for this? No,
And
it's free.
these that you're seeing, you can just click to download them and then
Oh my
go
gosh.
right to your machine. So you never even have to edit anything.
Yeah, look at this.
I love it.
That's cute. Oh my gosh. So you download the PDF and then you download the parts. You can actually download it where it'll go right into your machine if you want when you start working on this. And it gives you just a quick tutorial of what it looks like, how to put it together. Okay, so this is stinking cute. I'm going to have to work on something like this. Oh my gosh, I love this. So yeah, there's a ton of things in here and there's a lot for each season. So you just click on them. Oh, that's making me hungry. Should never do this at lunchtime, May, ever.
Oh, that, you know what? I just downloaded that one because I thought it was too cute.
That's really cute. So anyways, when we're talking about Canvas Workspace, that's what that is. It's totally free. There's a ton of free projects. That's cute. Is that a little cat? Oh my gosh. These would make
You know
great.
what? I made that one for my friend that really loves cats, and it was such a fun project out of felt.
That's cute. And yes, you can cut felt on the scan and cut because I know somebody's going to ask that. Let me just see what other questions we have. Yes, Kelly, you can cut small fabric pieces. It depends what the fabric is. Now, depending on what scan and cut you have, they have the new fabric mat as well nowadays, which I really like that. I don't know if you've used that much, May, but I like it because
I haven't used the fabric mat a lot. It just kind of, I tend to just use the new, usually I just like, well, you know what? I only have like, right now I'm getting my standard mat's getting older. It's time for a new one anyway. We'll start with fabric.
Yeah. And you don't have to have the fabric mat either. I mean, these are just extra tools that make things easier and faster. So Sharon, if you've watched some of the past episodes with all of the different cool pens that May uses, but I'll let you answer this one.
So gel pen or any pen, it's going to smear if you touch it. There's so many different pens that if you touch it when it's wet, it's going to smear. The machine is not going to retouch. The machine lifts, it doesn't drag. So no, the machine is not going to smear your gel pen. What would smear your gel pen is when you pull it out, if you put your thumbs on it and touch it before it's dry, then it'll smear. But no, you can use gel pens. I've used brush tip watercolor markers. There's all kinds of different pens that you can use. So it doesn't smear. The other thing to consider that you would need to consider is what material are you using it on? I did have someone that I was helping with a problem, and the problem was they had like a photo paper or something where the pen was never going to dry. And if you're trying to work on a material that the pen can't possibly dry and set on, then that's your problem. Then that's the problem, is that it's a material that it just can't physically work on. So what I always recommend is if you're not sure if your paper is compatible with your pen, or whatever material it is, just go do a little test before you start investing in the full design of whatever you're doing. Just go do a little test off to the side and check it and make sure that they're good match together. Because that even happens like on the fabric, with the fabric and when I'm drawing my designs to then embroider, sometimes it's the wrong fabric for the wrong pencil or pen. Because I have erasable, pen and pencil, and sometimes the particular fabric, maybe it's a little finicky. It doesn't like, the one pen, or the one pen doesn't work very well on it. So I always test to make sure if we've got a good match.
Definitely. I'm just seeing what else. Donna, what do you use? Oh, I put this up, Canvas Workspace. Somebody was asking, how do you say that, or what is that? And when you get a scan and cut, it gives you information in the box about that too. What do you use for backing on felt?
I don't know about you, Angela, but for me, it depends on where's the felt going. Where is the felt? Like, what am I doing with this felt? If I'm using it to cut felt, and then I'm going to make like a card embellishment where I want that felt to stay really, really firm, and I'm not going, maybe I'm going to glue it, then maybe I will use something like a heavy embroidery sticker, like the stick-on backing that you use to really stiffen and firm things up, and it will be on there and it'll be really firm. It'll last and it'll stay on there. But then maybe I'm doing iron-on, so maybe I want something fusible that I'm going to cut out with paper backing and then remove the paper backing and iron it onto something, and I want it soft and flexible, then I do something really light. So do you do the same? Do you alter based on what where you're going with it?
Absolutely. And you know, with the new fabric mat though, now I don't put a lot of backing on at all when I cut it, but it also exactly what you just said. What are you doing? What are you cutting it for? Is it for a garment? A lot of my things are for garments, so I'm not going to have a backing on it, even if it was felt. Not that I make a lot of garments out of felt, but I have actually made a jacket out of felt. So it really just depends what I'm going to use it for. Absolutely. Sometimes some of my fabrics, not particularly felt, but other fabrics, I might spray with starch or use a chemical to make it just a little bit stiffer. So that's like the totally not correct English word, stiffer, but make it stiffer so then when I cut it, it doesn't fray. So there's a lot of fun different things. And as you get going, if you go, like you mentioned, go through a lot of the videos, because you'll see that 5 of us could have the same exact project and we do it totally different. So try it yourself and see what you like the best, what's easiest for you. That's what I would recommend. So this was super fun. I love that project. And the video will be going up next week on your YouTube page, May? Or
yep,
sometime?
and you can find that either, there's links on my website. There's also links at my Instagram and on Facebook, Craft with May Facebook. I always post links every time there's a new video, so you can find it there too. I put it all over the place so you can find it.
Absolutely. And you can see there's the Instagrams right above here. May's is super cute. She's got the cutest Instagram. You can scroll through there and it just is so pretty and fresh and great colors. And then all the websites that we're talking about are below. You can pick this one up on my blog. I just posted it last night, so you can download it. And I'd love to see what you do with it for Valentine's Day. So May, I don't have, like I said, I don't have the bag here, but I put a zipper in here and everyone had great ideas about putting little notes. Like I'm going to give my husband little notes in there. And then everyone said, use it for every day of the year where you could give a note back and forth. And so I told Win what all of you recommended. He liked the back massage idea because they all said for Valentine's, put notes in there that you get a back massage. and then Blaine was on here and said that he'll do that for Michelle and he'll say, here, I'll put my credit card in there. I said, I kind of like that. Win wasn't like as receptive to that one as the back massage. But anyways, it's going to be the gift that keeps giving. So I cannot wait to see everyone's projects. And also, now you can go decorate your trash cans because that's where the notes are going to go. So it'll be a cute trash can. So, May, this is so much fun. It's always so great to see you. And
you too. I always look forward. I know when I turned my planner to this week and I went, oh, that's right. It's time for a show.
I love it. And your glue, I love that. I love the
color. So I'm going to keep on making these. I'll have to try to remember to bring them over. Basically, if I get an idea or I get a font vision or something, and I'll make a new one. And then I think I have 10 or 12 to make.
Oh, gosh.
I have a whole bunch of spaces that need them. And they've been so helpful already. Just plain undecorated, they've been so helpful. So now they're going to be helpful and cute.
That sounds fantastic. So you guys, you can go back and watch this video when it's over. Brother, thank you for letting your brand ambassadors take over your page again this week. We also have some more shows this afternoon. Cindy will have her software shut-in. I believe it's at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tomorrow, I have behind the scenes at 1:30 p.m. PM steamer PM, and I'm going to be doing this in the Luminaire instead of sewing it like we did last week. And then Emily has a show tomorrow at 3, and Thursday at noon, Barb Jones is going to be on here, and she's got some really cool projects on the Luminaire as well. So looking forward to seeing you. It's another new week, and it's still snowing outside. I'm just happy I made it here, or you would have had a beautiful view of my family room. That would have been awkward. It doesn't look as cute as your room does, by the way. May, it's great to see you. Everybody's saying thank you and have a wonderful day, everyone. Bye.